So this is another fairly short chapter, so we are coming to the end of it. This is regarding some more about the laws of ocean dumping. The history is that the MARPOL, or marine pollution legislation, came about in 1988 after an international convention for prevention of pollution from the ships. It started the plastic ban. As I said, regulating such a vast ocean is not easy, but 122 nations have had ratified it by 2005. I don't know what the current number is, but it's not a good thing not to ratify it, because it would be considered a shame. Peer pressure would be very high, but garbage disposal facilities are not always well set up in developing countries. For example, India doesn't always have a good garbage collection system. Some of it started with diseases like dengue and chikungunya and so on, but it doesn't work so well, right? And then we have all this biological pollution. These are basically non-native species, okay? Ocean water moves, birds eat something and take the seed and poop it somewhere else, or ocean ballast water. So the ships, large cargo ships that take a lot of cargo, they unload it in a port, and then they have to come back empty, or load something else and come back empty. So to manage their level in the water, they carry what's called ballast water to balance and so on. This ballast water is typically filled in one port somewhere in one ocean, carried long distances to another ocean, and released. So many pathogens, marine grasses, and non-local species are taken from one place and released into elsewhere. Non-native species are basically species that came from somewhere else, but they are able to compete and establish themselves in a new place. Okay, new climate, new water, new temperature, salinity, whatever, right? Remember, nature makes the rules and biology finds the loopholes. So biology can find a way to survive as soon as some environmental conditions are favorable, or it can adapt itself to a new environment depending on who the competitors are and so on. And non-native species typically tend to decimate the local species, the native species, okay? So they originate elsewhere, are introduced by human activity intentionally or accidentally. And they outcompete and dominate native populations, and they can cause extensive damage. So there are species like Cholera Taxifolia, which you can see here. It's like a seaweed, which is cold-tolerant clone of that was introduced into the Mediterranean and has completely overwhelmed the native species, and it is now made it all the way into Southern California and Australia. So remember, Mediterranean is way over on the Atlantic side, California is way over across the US in the Pacific side, but you have Panama Canal and so on, so a lot of ship traffic, a lot of ballast water getting across, and you have Cholera making it across. So there are signs like this. If you see this seaweed while diving, do not disturb it, report it. If you find it in your fishing gear or watercraft, bag it and report it. Never dump contents of your aquarium into the storm drain, creek, lagoon, bay, or ocean, and so on. This is from the Marine Fisheries Agency of NOAA. NOAA is the National Ocean and Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration of the US. The poster child for invasive species in the US, Great Lakes, became the so-called zebra mussel, which was introduced into the waters and just started growing like crazy. It reproduced really, really fast. It completely drove out the local mussels, completely altered the ecology of the fresh lakes and made it into the streams. It grew into the water pipes. It started blocking water pipes of the industrial facilities and so on. And now you also have something called the Asian carp, which is going a lot and crossing the Canadian border into the Great Lakes and so on and so forth. These are considered biological pollution because they are non-native species and they tend to disturb the local ecosystems